A champion, victorious above the whole entire fantasy football world. On top. That's how I ended last season. But it wasn't easy. Through extensive research and many options, I determined 3 ways to win your fantasy football league. 1. You have to win your draft. 2. Win the waiver wire with confidence. And 3. Acquire production, not big names. Draft day is very important. It's the beginning of your season. If you draft 5 wide receivers and 2 running backs, or vice versa, you might as well kiss that championship goodbye. Most successful teams go running backs early and often. In an article by Jacob Kamenker, he states that running backs are important because of the lack of depth. If you want to pick wide receivers, you have about 40 good options, as opposed to running backs with 15 to 20 good options. A top running back is key to winning your title. So far, we have talked about the draft as the first step on the way to your championship, and how you should nail it if you want to have a shot at that. Next, we're going to talk about the waiver wire. The waiver wire is where your team gains strength, studs, and hidden gems. This is where you can pick up players that nobody talks about, and this is where you can find your true winning pieces. You can't just pick up the best player. You have to look at research. You have to look at depth charts. You can't just assume they're going to perform because of their name. Many factors influence the waiver wire pickups you make. One example of that from last year, the waiver wire, is Lamar Jackson. Going into week 1 of 2019, he was only started in 37.5% of leagues. He went off for 50 points that week and went on the season to become the NFL MVP and become owned in 99.9% of leagues and win many of those their championships. That goes to show you that true gems can be found in free agency. We have now covered 2 of the 3 ways to win your fantasy football league. To win, you have to build a winning draft by starting with the running back position. And you also have to find hidden gems in free agency and work the waiver wire. Next, we're going to talk about the last key concept. You can't just draft names. Sure, Barkley, Rodgers, and Bell are great players, but will they really produce in fantasy? You have to look for production, not the names. Last year, many unknown players had big seasons. One of those was Austin Eckler. Eckler started off as a backup running back for the Los Angeles Chargers to Melvin Gordon. As a result of Melvin Gordon sitting out, Eckler got more playing time and exceeded his projections by 15% for the fantasy season. He scored, in an article by Doug Moore, shows that unknown players like Eckler can break out even if they're not the number 1 option. If that's not enough, let's compare Eckler to the number 2 overall pick, Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley scored 244 points last year with 6 touchdowns, as opposed to Eckler's 309 points with 11 touchdowns. That's a 65-point difference, and that difference can be the difference between you winning the championship and you being on the sidelines. Next, we're going to talk about the 3 things we learned. 1, you have to rock your draft by starting with running backs and working your way out. 2, you have to work the waiver wire with confidence. Pick up Lamar Jackson's, pick up Austin Eckler's, whatever it may be. And 3, you have to choose production over names. So just to make sure, we went over how to draft, what to look at when picking up waiver wire players, and we went over production or usage over big names. And when you win your fantasy football league, feel free to thank me. Remember, wait on drafting a QB. Thanks for your time. I'm Caleb Withrow, and I hope this helps you win your championship. Best of luck to you and your future endeavors in fantasy. Thank you.